My faithful servant, I need you to stop for a moment and truly hear what I am about to tell you. Every sacrifice you made, every dream you postponed, every personal ambition you set aside to serve others, I saw it all. Not a single moment was invisible to me. Not one act of selflessness went unnoticed. Not one tear you cried in secret, wondering if anyone appreciated what you were giving up, fell to the ground without my full attention. You gave your best years to others, and while the world may have moved on without acknowledging the depth of your sacrifice, I have not forgotten. I will never forget. What you poured out in love, what you invested in other people's lives, what you surrendered so that others could thrive, it is all recorded in heaven, written in a book that will never be lost. Celebrated in ways you cannot yet imagine. I know there are moments when you look at your life and wonder what you have to show for all those years. You see others who chose themselves first, who pursued their own interests without apology, who built impressive careers and accumulated wealth and traveled the world and checked off bucket list items, and you wonder if you made the right choice. You wonder if anyone remembers the sleepless nights you spent caring for aging parents while your friends were building their businesses. You wonder if your children appreciate the opportunities you gave them by working multiple jobs, by saying no to your own desires, by making their needs your priority year after year. You wonder if your spouse realizes how many of your own goals you quietly shelved to support their dreams. You wonder if the students you taught, the employees you mentored, the community you served, if any of them understand what it cost you to be present for them. The wondering has weight to it, does it not? It sits heavy in your chest, particularly in the quiet moments when the people you poured yourself into are busy with their own lives, when the phone does not ring as often as it once did, when invitations become less frequent, when you realize that the center of their worlds has shifted and you are no longer in it. This is when the questions come, the doubts that whisper you should have been more selfish, that you gave too much, that you were foolish to sacrifice so much for people who have moved on without looking back. This is when the enemy tries to convince you that your service was wasted, that your love was taken for granted, that your best years were spent on people who do not value what you gave them. But I am here to tell you something that will counteract every one of those lies, something that will reframe your entire perspective on the life you have lived. Your sacrifice was not wasted. Your service was not foolish. Your love was not unnoticed. Every moment you gave to others was an offering to me, and I received it as an act of worship, as a reflection of my own heart, as a participation in the very nature of who I am. When you cared for your parents in their declining years, when you changed bedsheets and managed medications, and sat beside hospital beds and navigated the healthcare system and advocated for their dignity when they could not do it themselves, you were doing my work. When you sacrificed your time and energy and financial resources to give your children opportunities you never had, when you drove them to practices and performances, when you helped with homework you barely understood, when you paid for education and experiences that stretched your budget, when you showed up for every milestone, even when you were exhausted, you were reflecting my father heart. When you supported your spouse's career at the expense of your own, when you moved for their job opportunities, when you held down the home so they could pursue their calling, when you celebrated their success, even when it meant your own ambitions remained unrealized, you were demonstrating love that mirrors mine. Every time you mentored someone younger, sharing wisdom you earned through hard experience. Every time you trained someone who would eventually surpass you and take opportunities that could have been yours. Every time you invested in communities and organizations and causes that will never put your name on a plaque or give you credit for what you contributed, you were storing up treasure in heaven. You were building something eternal. You were participating in my kingdom work. And I want you to know that none of it, not one single moment, was wasted or forgotten or unimportant. It all mattered. It all counts. It all has eternal significance that far exceeds anything you can see or measure right now. I need you to understand something about how I view sacrifice. The world measures success by accumulation, by what you can point to and say, this is mine, I built this, I achieved this, look at what I have. But my kingdom operates on an entirely different economy. In my kingdom, the greatest are those who serve. The first are those who make themselves last. The most honored are those who give themselves away for others. This is not empty religious talk. This is the actual fabric of reality as I designed it. You may not have the earthly rewards that come from self-focused ambition, but you have something far more valuable. You have my approval. You have crowns waiting for you in eternity. You have the deep soul satisfaction that comes from having lived a life that mattered, a life that blessed others, a life that reflected my son Jesus, who gave everything so that others could have life. Let me tell you what I saw while you were giving your best years to others. I saw a young parent working 2 jobs to provide for their family, coming home exhausted, but still finding energy to read bedtime stories, to ask about their children's day, to make them feel loved and secure. I saw someone in their prime career years choosing to care for an aging parent with dementia, bathing them, feeding them, speaking gently to them even when they no longer recognized your face, treating them with dignity when the world wanted to warehouse them in a facility and forget about them. I saw a teacher staying late after school year after year, tutoring students who struggled, buying supplies with your own money, attending students' events to show them someone cared, pouring your heart into teenagers who often seemed indifferent, but who carried your influence with them long after they left your classroom. I saw a volunteer coordinator who made everyone else look good, who worked behind the scenes without recognition, who solved problems and managed personalities and kept organizations running smoothly while others got the applause. I saw a spouse who set aside graduate school to support their partner's education, who worked jobs beneath their ability so their spouse could pursue their calling, who moved across the country, leaving behind friends and family and opportunities because love meant putting someone else first. I saw someone who took care of a sick child or a disabled family member year after year, whose entire life revolved around medical appointments and therapy sessions and insurance battles, who never got a day off, who watched their peers advance in careers while they changed diapers and advocated for services and fought for their loved ones' quality of life. I saw a foster parent who opened their home again and again to children who had been traumatized, who dealt with behavioral issues and attachment disorders, and the heartbreak of watching children they loved return to unsafe situations, who kept saying yes when every placement broke their heart a little more. I saw a missionary who served in obscurity, who lived without comfort or convenience, who learned difficult languages and adapted to foreign cultures and labored for years to see a handful of people come to faith, who never had their story told or their picture in a newsletter or their name known by anyone except me. Every one of these stories, and thousands more like them, represent people who gave their best years to others. And every single one of these people is precious to me, valued by me, seen by me, remembered by me. If this is your story, if you are nodding as you read this because you recognize yourself in these descriptions, then I want you to know that you are my hero. You are the kind of person my son talked about when he said the last shall be first. You are living out the upside-down kingdom, values that the world does not understand, but that heaven celebrates. You are storing up treasure that thieves cannot steal and moth cannot destroy. You are building something that will last forever. But I also know that knowing this intellectually and feeling it in your heart are 2 different things. I know that the practical reality of your life right now may feel nothing like treasure or celebration or reward. You may be facing financial stress because you never prioritized building wealth. You may be experiencing health issues because you neglected your own needs while caring for others. You may be dealing with loneliness because the relationships you invested in have changed or ended. You may be struggling with regret, wondering what your life would have looked like if you had made different choices. These feelings are real, and I do not dismiss them. But I want to give you a different lens through which to view your past and your present and your future. First, I want you to see that your sacrifice produced fruit that you may not be able to see yet. The children you raised, even if they do not call as often as you would like, carry your values with them. The way you loved them, the stability you provided, the example you set, it shaped them in ways they may not even realize yet. One day they will be faced with their own hard choices about caring for aging parents or sacrificing for their children, and your example will guide them. They will realize what you gave up for them, and they will be grateful. That gratitude may come later than you hoped, but it will come. The students you taught, the people you mentored, they are out in the world right now making different choices because of your influence. They are treating people better, working harder, believing in themselves, pursuing meaningful goals, all because you invested in them. You may never hear about most of it, but it is happening. The parent you cared for experienced dignity and love in their final years because of you. They died knowing they were not abandoned, not forgotten, not a burden. That matters more than you can possibly know, both to them and to me. Second, I want you to understand that I am a God who restores and redeems and makes all things new. The years you gave to others are not lost years. They are invested years, and the return on that investment is coming. Some of it you will see in this life. Relationships will deepen in unexpected ways. Opportunities will open that are perfectly suited to this season. Joy will surprise you when you least expect it. But much of the return on your investment will not be visible until you see me face to face. And when that day comes, I promise you will not regret a single sacrifice you made. You will not wish you had been more selfish. You will not feel that you wasted your time. You will see the full picture, the ripple effects of your love spreading out across generations and impacting people you never even met. And you will be overwhelmed with the goodness of what your obedience accomplished. Third, I want you to know that your season of sacrifice has positioned you for something new. You have learned things through serving others that you could not have learned any other way. You have developed character, patience, humility, compassion, endurance, selflessness. These qualities are rare and valuable, and I have plans to use them. Just because your circumstances are changing does not mean your purpose is ending. It means you are transitioning into a new chapter, and what you learned in the previous chapters is preparation for what comes next. You are not being put out to pasture. You are not irrelevant. You are not finished. You are entering a season where I can use you in different ways, where the wisdom you gained through sacrifice can bless others, where your story can encourage people who are in the middle of their own seasons of giving. I also want to speak to those of you who sacrificed your best years and now find yourself alone or struggling or disappointed with how things turned out. Maybe you cared for a spouse who has now passed away, and you are facing old age without the companionship you thought you would have. Maybe you gave everything to your children, and they have grown distant or made choices that break your heart. Maybe you invested in a career that helped others, but left you without financial security for your own retirement. Maybe you served in a church or organization that has since fallen apart or failed to fulfill its mission. The sacrifice was real, but the expected outcome never materialized, and now you are left wondering what it was all for. I see you, and my heart breaks with yours. I do not minimize your pain or your disappointment, but I want you to know that your obedience to me in those seasons still counts, still matters, still has value, regardless of how things turned out. You cannot control how others respond to your love. You cannot force the outcomes you hoped for. You cannot guarantee that the institutions you served will remain faithful to their mission. but you can control your faithfulness, and you were faithful. You loved well. You served sacrificially. You honored me with your choices, and that is enough. That is more than enough. That is everything. The enemy wants you to believe that sacrifice is foolish if it does not produce the results you wanted. But that is a lie rooted in the world's value system, not mine. I never promised that serving others would lead to easy outcomes or perfect relationships or guaranteed security. What I promised was that I would be with you, that your labor would not be in vain, that I would reward faithfulness, that nothing done for me would be forgotten. Those promises still stand. They have not expired. They have not been voided by disappointing outcomes. They are as true today as they were when you first said yes to sacrificing for others. Now let me speak to what this season holds for you. Some of you are just now emerging from decades of caregiving or child raising or intense service, and you are wondering what to do with yourselves. The structure that defined your days is gone. The identity you had as caregiver or parent or servant is shifting. You have time and energy that you have not had in years, but you are not sure what to do with it. You feel guilty when you spend money on yourself after years of frugality for others' sake. You feel selfish when you pursue your own interests after decades of putting others first. You feel lost without someone depending on you, without a clear role that gives your life purpose. I want to give you permission to explore this new season without guilt. You are not being selfish by discovering who you are apart from the roles you have played. You are not betraying the people you served by learning to live for yourself now. You are not dishonoring the sacrifices you made by enjoying the freedom that comes when those responsibilities end. This is a gift, not a curse. This is a harvest season, a time to enjoy the fruit of your faithfulness, a time to rest and recover and rediscover parts of yourself that got buried under years of responsibility. Embrace it. Do not waste it by staying trapped in patterns of self-denial that are no longer necessary or healthy. Some of you need to grieve before you can move forward. You need to acknowledge the losses that came with your sacrifice, the roads not taken, the dreams that died, the parts of yourself that got lost along the way. This grief is valid and necessary. Do not skip over it. Do not rush through it. Sit with it. Bring it to me. Let me hold you in your sadness over what might have been. And as you grieve, let me also show you what was gained, the beauty that came from your sacrifice, the ways you grew and matured and became more like Jesus through the process of giving yourself away. Both things can be true at once. You can grieve what you lost and celebrate what you gained. You can miss the paths you did not take and be grateful for the path you did take. You can wish some things had been different while still believing that your life has been meaningful and good. Some of you need healing, physical and emotional healing from years of neglecting yourselves while caring for others. Your body carries the stress of those years in chronic pain, in illness, in exhaustion that does not go away no matter how much you rest. Your emotions are fragile from years of stuffing down your own needs, from putting on a brave face when you were falling apart inside, from carrying burdens that were too heavy for one person to bear. I want to heal you, beloved. I want to restore what the locusts have eaten. I want to give you back the years that were consumed by sacrifice. Bring your brokenness to me. Let me touch the places that hurt. Let me speak truth over the lies you have believed about your worth and your value. Let me rebuild your strength, renew your hope, refresh your spirit. And some of you need to learn how to receive. You are so accustomed to being the giver, the helper, the strong one, that you do not know how to let others serve you. You deflect compliments. You minimize your own needs. You refuse help even when you desperately need it because you do not want to be a burden. But I am telling you that learning to receive is just as important as learning to give. It is part of living in community, part of being in my body. When you refuse to let others help you, you rob them of the blessing of serving, the same blessing you experienced when you served them. Let people love you. Let them care for you. Let them give back some of what you gave. It is okay to need people. It is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to admit you cannot do it all on your own. I want to tell you about some people in Scripture who gave their best years to others and how I honored them. Think about Moses, who spent 40 years leading a complaining, rebellious people through the wilderness. He sacrificed his own comfort and safety and peace to guide them to a promised land he would never enter himself. It would have been easy for him to feel bitter about that, to feel that all his sacrifice was wasted since he did not get to enjoy the ultimate reward. But I honored Moses in ways that transcended earthly rewards. He spoke with me face to face. He experienced intimacy with me that few have known. His name is remembered thousands of years later as one of the greatest leaders in history. And beyond all that, he did eventually enter the promised land, not in his earthly body, but in his resurrected body, appearing with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. What looked like loss in the moment was actually gain in the eternal perspective. Think about Ruth, who gave up her own homeland, her own people, her own prospects for remarriage, to care for her widowed mother-in-law Naomi. She worked in fields gleaning leftover grain, doing back-breaking labor to provide for them both. She could have gone back to her family, could have started over, could have chosen an easier path. But she sacrificed her best years to care for someone who was not even her blood relative, and I honored her faithfulness. I brought Boaz into her life. I gave her a husband and a son and a place in the lineage of Jesus himself. Her sacrifice was not wasted. It positioned her for blessing beyond what she could have imagined. Think about the Apostle Paul, who gave up his prestigious position as a Pharisee, his status, his security, to spread the gospel. He was beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, stoned and left for dead, mocked and rejected and misunderstood. He lived in constant danger and discomfort. He could have had an easy life if he had just kept his mouth shut about Jesus. But he sacrificed everything, and I used him to write much of the New Testament, to plant churches across the Roman Empire, to shape the theology and practice of Christianity for all time. His sufferings were not meaningless. They were productive beyond measure. These examples and dozens more throughout Scripture show you my pattern. I see sacrifice. I honor faithfulness. I reward those who give themselves away for others. It may not happen on your timeline. It may not look like you expect. But it will happen because I am just and good, and I do not forget the work of love that my people do in my name. Now let me speak to those of you who are currently in the middle of sacrificing your best years. You are still in the thick of it, still caring for children or aging parents, still working multiple jobs to make ends meet, still serving in ways that drain you. And you clicked on this message wondering if anyone sees, if anyone cares, if it will ever get easier. I see you, beloved. I see you getting up in the middle of the night with a sick child or an aging parent. I see you working a job you do not love because it provides for your family. I see you choosing your family's needs over your own once again and again. I see you serving in obscurity, doing the behind-the-scenes work that keeps everything running, but that no one notices or thanks you for. I see you pouring yourself out day after day, and I am telling you, do not give up. Do not grow weary in doing good. Your labor is not in vain. The harvest is coming. Keep showing up. Keep loving well. Keep sacrificing when it would be easier to quit. Keep choosing others when the world tells you to choose yourself. Keep trusting that I see, that I know, that I care, that I am keeping track of every moment and every tear and every sacrifice. One day you will stand before me, and I will say, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with what I entrusted to you, and because of that, I will entrust you with even more. Enter into the joy of your master. That day is coming, and when it arrives, you will understand that every sacrifice was worth it, that nothing you gave was wasted, that your faithfulness produced fruit that will last forever. Let me close with this. Your best years were not wasted on others. They were invested in others, and the return on that investment is eternal. The world may not remember what you did, People may not fully appreciate what you gave up for them. Your bank account may not reflect the value of your service. Your resume may not capture the significance of your sacrifice. But I know. I remember. I have recorded it all, and I will reward you in ways that far exceed anything you lost, anything you gave up, anything you sacrificed. Do not let the enemy steal your joy or fill you with regret. Do not let comparison to others who took different paths make you doubt your choices. You did what was right. You loved well. You reflected my heart, and I am so proud of you. I honor you. I celebrate you, and I will make sure that your sacrifice was not in vain. There is something else I want you to understand about the years you gave to others. Something profound about how those years shaped not just the people you served, but also shaped you in ways you may not recognize yet. When you choose to sacrifice for others, when you put their needs ahead of your own comfort and convenience and ambition, you are being conformed to the image of my Son. Jesus did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Every time you set aside your own agenda to meet someone else's need, you were practicing the way of Jesus. Every time you chose love over personal gain, you were walking in his footsteps. Every time you gave when you did not have to, when no one would have blamed you for choosing yourself, you were displaying the character of God to a watching world. This transformation that happened in you through sacrifice is not something that could have been achieved through comfort or ease or self-focus. Character is forged in the fires of difficulty. Compassion is learned through personal suffering. Patience is developed through repeated trials. Love is deepened through costly giving. All the qualities that make you most like me, most useful in my kingdom, most capable of blessing others, these were cultivated in you during the years you gave to others. So while you may look at those years and see only what you lost or what you gave up, I look at those years and see what you gained, who you became, how you were transformed into someone beautiful and rare and valuable. The world is full of people who have never sacrificed significantly for anyone else. They have lived comfortable lives focused on their own happiness, their own success, their own pleasure. And while there is nothing wrong with comfort or success or happiness in themselves, lives built entirely on self-focus tend to produce shallow people. They may have impressive achievements and bank accounts and experiences, but they often lack depth, lack empathy, lack the kind of character that can sustain others through hardship. You are not one of those people. The years you gave to others carved out deep places in your soul, places that can hold sorrow and joy in equal measure, places where others can find refuge, places where I can dwell richly. You have become someone who knows how to love sacrificially, how to serve without expecting return, how to give when it costs you something real. These are the people I search for, the people I can use mightily, the people who reflect my heart most clearly to a broken world. I want to address the specific ways your sacrifice may have impacted different areas of your life, because I know that the cost was not abstract or theoretical. It was real and concrete and painful in specific ways. Some of you sacrificed career advancement. You had opportunities for promotion or education or career changes that would have accelerated your professional growth and earning potential. But you chose to stay in a position that allowed you to be present for your family or care for someone who needed you. You watched colleagues who started at the same level surpass you, watched their salaries increase while yours remained stagnant. Watched them build impressive resumes while yours showed gaps or stays in positions that did not reflect your true abilities. You may have interviewing skills now that are rusty, a professional network that has atrophied, credentials that feel outdated. Looking at job listings can be discouraging when you see requirements for experience in areas you could have developed, but did not because you were busy caring for others. I want you to know that I saw every opportunity you passed up, every door you did not walk through because you were walking through a different door to care for someone I love. And I am telling you that the skills you developed through sacrifice are more valuable than any credential. You know how to solve problems under pressure. You know how to manage complex situations with limited resources. You know how to work with difficult personalities and navigate emotional minefields. You know how to persevere through challenges that would make others quit. You know how to love people who are hard to love. These abilities are transferable and precious, and I will create opportunities for you to use them. Your career path may not look conventional, but I am the God who makes ways in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I can open doors that no one can shut. I can give you favor that supersedes lack of recent experience. I can connect you with people and opportunities that are perfect for this season of your life. Trust me with your professional future. I have not forgotten that you gave up advancement for love, and I will honor that sacrifice. Some of you sacrificed financial security. You spent money on others that could have gone into savings or retirement accounts or investments. You paid for education, for medical care, for basic necessities, for experiences that blessed your children or provided for aging parents. You said no to purchases you wanted, no to vacations, no to home improvements, no to countless small luxuries because the money was needed elsewhere. You may have taken on debt to help family members. You may have depleted savings to cover unexpected crises. You may have worked extra hours or taken second jobs just to make ends meet while supporting others. And now you are facing retirement or semi-retirement without the financial cushion you hope to have. You lie awake at night worrying about how you will manage, what will happen if you get sick, whether you will be a burden on others after spending your life trying not to be a burden. I want to speak directly to this fear because it is so heavy and so real. I am Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. I have never failed to take care of my children, and I will not start with you. Did I not feed the Israelites in the desert for 40 years? Did I not provide for Elijah through ravens and a widow's oil that did not run out? Did I not multiply loaves and fishes to feed thousands? Did I not promise that I would supply all your needs according to my riches in glory in Christ Jesus? I know what you need before you ask, and I am committed to providing for you. This may mean I give you creative ideas for generating income. This may mean I move people to be generous toward you. This may mean I stretch what you have in miraculous ways. This may mean I provide through channels you have not even thought of yet, but I will provide. You trusted me enough to be generous with others when you had little to spare. Now trust me to be generous with you. I will not let you go without. I will not abandon you in your need. You gave freely, and I will ensure that you are cared for freely. Some of you sacrificed your health. The stress of caregiving took a toll on your body that you are only now beginning to realize. You did not sleep enough because you were up with children or monitoring aging parents or working night shifts to accommodate your family's needs. You did not eat well because you were too busy or too tired to prepare proper meals for yourself, even though you made sure others ate. You did not exercise because there was no time, no energy, no space in your life for self-care. You did not go to the doctor when you should have, because your loved one's medical appointments took priority, or because you could not afford both their care and your own. You pushed through pain and fatigue and illness because people were depending on you, and you could not let them down. And now your body is presenting the bill for years of neglect, with chronic conditions and pain and exhaustion that will not resolve no matter how much you rest. I want you to know that I am grieved by what it cost you physically to serve others. I made your body to be a temple, and I care about its welfare. I do not condemn you for the choices you made. You did what you had to do with the resources you had, but I do want to partner with you now in recovery and healing. Start prioritizing your health without guilt. See doctors. Take medications. Do physical therapy. Rest when you need to rest. Say no to demands that will compromise your well-being. Your season of sacrificing your health for others is over. It is time to steward your body with the same care you showed to others. And as you do this, invite me into the process. Ask me for healing. Believe that I can restore what has been damaged. Trust that even if complete healing does not come in this life, I will give you grace to manage your conditions, wisdom to care for yourself well, and ultimately a resurrected body that will never hurt or fail or get tired again. Some of you sacrificed relationships and friendships. You could not maintain connections with friends when your life revolved around caregiving or working multiple jobs. You had to decline invitations because you did not have childcare or because your loved one could not be left alone. You moved away from your support system to care for family or to support a spouse's career. You lost touch with people who were once close because you did not have the emotional energy to invest in those relationships when you were pouring everything into the people who depended on you. And now you find yourself isolated with a small circle or no circle at all, wondering how to build friendships at this stage of life when everyone else seems to already have their people and their routines and their full social calendars. I want to assure you that I am the God who restores relationships and creates new ones. I brought Adam and Eve together. I gave Ruth to Naomi. I gave Jonathan to David. I gave John to Jesus. I know how to connect people who need each other, and I will do that for you. Start by asking me to bring divine connections into your life. Then position yourself in places where friendships can form. Join a small group or a class or a volunteer organization. Say yes to invitations even when it feels scary or awkward. Be willing to be vulnerable and honest about your life rather than presenting a polished version of yourself. Reach out to old friends and see if connections can be rekindled. Be patient with yourself as you learn to prioritize relationships again. Friendship will not happen overnight, but it will happen. I will see to it, because I know you need community and I designed you for connection. Some of you sacrificed your own dreams and aspirations. You had plans for your life, things you wanted to study or create or accomplish, places you wanted to go, experiences you wanted to have. But when the opportunity came to pursue those dreams, responsibility called louder, and you set them aside. You told yourself you would get to them later, after the kids were raised, after your parents no longer needed you, after your spouse retired, after your obligations lessened. But later kept getting delayed, and now later is here, and you are not sure if those dreams are still possible or if you even remember what they were. There is grief in this, grief for the versions of yourself that never got to exist, the paths you did not take, the potential that feels wasted. But I want to tell you something important. Those dreams did not come from nowhere. I placed them in your heart. I gave you those desires and those abilities. And just because the timing did not work out the way you expected does not mean the dreams are dead. Some dreams are dormant, waiting for the right season to bloom. Some dreams need to be resurrected in a different form. Some dreams are still entirely possible, even at this stage of your life. I want to invite you to reconnect with the desires of your heart. Ask me what is still meant to be pursued. Ask me how those dreams might take shape now, in this season, with the person you have become through sacrifice. Some of you will discover that the dream is still viable, and I am opening doors for you to pursue it. Some of you will discover that I have something even better in mind, something you could not have conceived of before you walked through the years of sacrifice. And some of you will discover that the dream itself is less important than the longing it represented, a longing I can fulfill in ways you never imagined. I also want to speak to those of you whose sacrifice was for people who hurt you or betrayed you or failed to appreciate what you gave. You cared for a parent who was never kind to you, who criticized and undermined you, but you did it anyway because it was right. You stayed in a marriage and sacrificed your own needs for a spouse who was unfaithful or neglectful or abusive. You raised children who have rejected you or who blame you for their problems despite everything you did for them. You poured yourself into an organization or a cause that turned on you or that failed to honor your contributions. The sacrifice was costly enough, but the lack of gratitude or the active harm done to you makes it feel exponentially worse. It is one thing to give to people who love and appreciate you. It is another thing entirely to give to people who use and discard you. If this is your story, I want you to know that I see the particular pain of unreturned love, of unappreciated sacrifice, of betrayed trust. Jesus knows this pain intimately. He healed people who did not thank him. He taught people who rejected him. He loved Judas, even knowing Judas would betray him. He went to the cross for people who would never acknowledge what he did for them. He understands what it feels like to give everything and receive nothing but wounds in return. And I want you to know that your sacrifice still counts, still matters, even when it was given to people who did not deserve it or appreciate it. In fact, this is the most Christ-like form of sacrifice, to love those who do not love you back, to serve those who do not serve you in return, to give to those who cannot or will not repay. This is the nature of grace, of mercy, of agape love, and when you give this way, you are most beautifully reflecting my heart. Does this make the pain less? Probably not. The wound of ingratitude and betrayal goes deep, and I do not expect you to minimize it or pretend it does not hurt. But I do want you to know that I saw every moment of love you extended to people who did not deserve it, every sacrifice you made for people who would not do the same for you, every act of service that went unnoticed or unappreciated or even punished. And I am telling you that in my ledger, those acts of love count for more, not less. They are worth more in the kingdom of heaven because they cost you more, because they required you to love past hurt, to serve past exhaustion, to give when nothing was given back. These are the sacrifices that shine brightest in eternity, and you will be rewarded richly for them, far beyond what you can imagine. I want to give you some practical ways to move forward from here, because I know that knowing your sacrifice mattered is important, but you also need wisdom for how to live now. In this season, after the years of giving. First, practice forgiveness, both toward others and toward yourself. Forgive the people who did not appreciate your sacrifice. Forgive those who took advantage of your generosity. Forgive those who should have helped but did not. Holding on to bitterness will only poison your future. This does not mean you have to have relationship with people who harmed you. This does not mean you pretend the hurt did not happen. This means you release them into my hands and trust me to deal with them justly, freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. Also forgive yourself for the ways you fell short during those years of sacrifice. You did your best with what you had. You were not perfect, and that is okay. Let go of the guilt and shame and regret. I have already forgiven you, and I am asking you to extend that same forgiveness to yourself. Second, learn to receive as well as you give. You have spent so many years being the strong one, the helper, the provider, that you have forgotten how to let others care for you. You need to relearn this skill. When someone offers help, say yes. When someone wants to bless you, receive it with gratitude. When people want to give back to you, let them. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. This is allowing the body of Christ to function as it is meant to, with giving and receiving flowing in both directions. You were never meant to be only a giver. You were meant to be part of a community where everyone gives and everyone receives according to their season and their ability. Third, invest in your own growth and development now. Take the class you always wanted to take. Learn the skill you never had time to learn. Read the books that interest you. Travel if you can. Pursue hobbies and interests that have nothing to do with serving others and everything to do with becoming more fully yourself. This is not selfish. This is stewardship. I gave you gifts and talents and interests, and I want you to develop them. I want you to experience the joy of learning and growing and discovering. You have permission to do things just because they bring you joy, not because they serve some greater purpose or help someone else. Joy is its own purpose. Delight is its own reward. Fourth, establish healthy boundaries. If you are still in relationship with people you sacrificed for, you may need to redefine those relationships so that you are not still in the role of primary giver. This is hard, especially if they have come to expect and depend on your sacrifice, but it is necessary for your health and for their growth. They need to learn to function without you being their solution to every problem. You need to learn to say no without guilt, to prioritize your own needs without apology, to let them experience the natural consequences of their choices. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are healthy limits that protect relationships and ensure they are sustainable and mutual rather than one-sided and draining. Fifth, find a counselor or a spiritual director or a trusted friend who can help you process all that you experienced during your years of sacrifice. There is probably trauma there, grief there, unresolved emotions there that need to be brought into the light and dealt with. Do not try to do this alone. Do not assume you should just be able to move on without processing what happened. You need someone who can listen without judgment, who can help you make sense of your story, who can guide you toward healing and wholeness. This is not an indulgence. This is necessary work, and I want you to do it. Sixth, ask me what I have for you in this new season. Do not just drift aimlessly. Do not assume that because your primary season of sacrifice is over, you have no purpose left. I always have assignments for my people, callings that fit their season and their abilities. Ask me what you are meant to do now. Ask me how I want to use the wisdom and character you developed through sacrifice. Ask me what new adventures and opportunities I have in store. Then listen. Wait. Watch for doors to open. And when they do, walk through them with confidence, knowing that I am leading you into something good. Let me paint a picture of what I want your future to look like. I see you at peace with your past, able to look back on your years of sacrifice without regret or bitterness, able to see how I used that time to shape you and bless others. I see you enjoying this present season, finding delight in simple pleasures, building meaningful relationships, pursuing interests that feed your soul. I see you using the wisdom you gained through hard experience to mentor and encourage others who are in their seasons of sacrifice, offering them hope and perspective. I see you contributing to my kingdom in new ways, ways that are suited to this stage of your life, ways that allow you to give from overflow rather than from depletion. I see you healthy in body and soul and spirit, having found balance between giving and receiving, between serving and being served. I see you looking toward your future with hope rather than fear, confident that your best days are not behind you, but ahead of you, trusting that I have good plans for all your remaining years. This is not fantasy. This is the future I am offering you, but it requires something from you. It requires that you choose to believe that your sacrifice was not wasted. It requires that you release regret and embrace hope. It requires that you forgive those who did not appreciate what you gave. It requires that you stop living as a victim of circumstances and start living as a beloved child of God who is deeply valued and has much to offer. It requires that you partner with me in this new season, rather than clinging to old roles and old patterns that no longer fit. Make these choices, one day at a time, one moment at a time, and watch what I do with your life going forward. I am so proud of you for the years you gave to others. I am honored that you chose to reflect my heart of sacrifice and service. I am in awe of your faithfulness when it was hard, when no one was watching, when you got no credit. You are my hero. You are the kind of person heaven celebrates. And I promise you, with everything in me, that your sacrifice will be rewarded, your faithfulness will be honored, your service will be recognized. If not fully in this life, then certainly and completely when you see me face to face. Until that day, walk with your head high, knowing that you have lived a life that matters, a life that blessed others, a life that I am proud to call my own. If these words have touched your heart, if you recognize yourself in this message, if you need to receive the truth that your sacrifice has not been forgotten, type Amen below. Let that be your declaration that you trust me with the years you gave, that you believe I will redeem and restore and reward, that you are choosing to move forward without regret, knowing that I have seen it all and none of it was wasted.